Welcome to the Banega Swasth India podcast. Our focus is on creating a holistic and healthy India for each and every one. Our goal is Lakshya Sampurna Swastika, where citizens, individuals, society and governments work together to ensure health for all. As the Rashtriya POSHAN Maah enters its sixth year with an overarching theme of reducing undernutrition levels among children and women, there are several key factors that are to be addressed in order to achieve nutritional targets and the overall well-being of everyone. I'm Ambika Singh Kama, and today we have with us Dr. Ishi Khosla, clinical and public health nutritionist and author of 4G Code to Good Health, who is here to discuss the significance of traditional Indian foods to improve gut health, combat multiple lifestyle diseases, and meet nutritional targets. Thank you so much, Dr. Khosla, for joining us. Dr. Khosla, let's talk about gut health first. It has become essential to any conversation about health. Could you tell us how our gut determines our overall well-being?
So, when we speak about gut health, it is absolutely critical to understand why it is important. The importance of the gut microbiome is so critical because it determines whether we are absorbing our food or no, whether we are, in a place where these microbiome are working for us, making us sick or making us happy and healthy. So keeping the gut narrative in mind is important to get to the right solution, so that the efforts that you make to build up your diet are they meet with the right outcomes. If these are out of balance, the gut microbiome and the gut is leaky, no matter how much food we eat is not going to really translate into better health.
So, doctor, how can we improve and build up our gut?
So when we build up the gut, we need to remove the trigger foods. We want to understand what is bothering the gut. So the modern urban diets, the pesticides, the preservatives, the toxic fats, the excessive sugar, and colors, and all the chemicals that are being exposed to the urban population. So we need to work harder in understanding what has caused those triggers, what has caused the damage, and then replacing it with the right kind of fats, the right kind of grains, the healthier grains, which is thanks to the year of millets. We have ragi, bajra, jowar, little millets, all of that, rice, all varieties of rice, which can be far better, and they help the gut, the microbiome to flourish. And then good fats, replacing the refined oils with healthy fats, having the right amount of good amount of vegetables, the brightly colored vegetables, as we call the rainbow diet. 4 or 5 colors every day should be consumed in the form of vegetables and fruits. And probiotics and prebiotics. Now, nobody has to really go into very complicated, areas here, but just simply having fermented foods, having yogurt, and having fermented foods like pickles and congis and kanjis, which are all a part of our traditional food, and having jaggery instead of sugar, having green leafy vegetables, ensuring that you have a handful of nuts and seeds or chanas every day.
Dr. Khosla, there are so many lifestyle diseases, cardiovascular diseases, and much more that we all are surrounded with today. Is there any specific diet we need to follow to address these problems?
So it's really very difficult. We are in a stage today, we have so many problems. We don't have just micronutrient deficiencies, malnutrition, anemia, osteoporosis. We have obesity, we have high blood pressure, we have diabetes, we have autoimmune problems, and mental health problems, skin problems, breathing problems. Now, it's not possible for us to formulate a diet which is for every specific condition. The good news here is that if you respect your gut, you have a solution for all of these problems. Today, modern science has established the link between the gut and the brain. The gut and nutrition, of course, has always been there. The gut and inflammation, because that is where all the diseases begin. So whether it's lifestyle disorders, whether I'm talking about high blood pressure or diabetes or cardiovascular disease, Any of these conditions, in fact, all the conditions today can be tampered with and modulated by a strong and sound and resilient gut. So we don't have to look at specific conditions here. All we need is, I'm just going to summarize that, we need to eat the right kind of grain, the right quantity of grain. We need to eat lots of vegetables and fruits, which everybody knows it's not rocket science, but it doesn't go into practice. We need to find ways of putting those vegetables and fruits in our diet, following the half plate rule or the rainbow diet or whatever you like, but just ensure, or making one meal dedicated to just vegetables, fruits and sprouts, etc., is a great way of adding the right nutrients and ensuring that you get those micronutrients, which will not only prevent anemia, but it will prevent a whole range of lifestyle disorders.
Banega Swasth India podcast will be back after a short break.
Watch out for our new Banega Swasth India video podcast, Swasthya Mantra, the first ever public health and hygiene podcast. The podcast is live on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube in English and in Hindi.
Welcome back to Banega Swasth India podcast. Dr. Khosla, you discussed some of the food items that are essential, as you said, to build up the gut. However, people find it difficult to decide how much and in what quantity they are to be consumed. Could you tell us about the main food groups and how to ensure that all these groups are on our plate?
We have 5 food groups, and how to divide those 5 food groups to make sense out of them into your daily diet and get the maximum out of what we eat. So it's important to understand that the 5 food groups begin with fruits and vegetables. That's a very easy one. Everyone understands that. Grains, the cereals, all the rice and the staples that we have are a part of the cereal group. And then we have our protein groups, which include plant protein like lentils, we have sprouts, we have chanas, we have beans, rajmas. All of those are a part of the pulse of the proteins. And then we have dairy. Dairy, of course, everyone understands, or includes milk and paneer and yogurt and other products made out of them. Then we have animal protein in the form of fish, chicken, and eggs. And then we lastly have the fats and the oils. The fats and the oils include all the nuts and the seeds and the good, the ghees and the butters and the coconut oils and the sesame oils, etc. So these are really the 5 groups. And how does one divide them is a 5-step, a process, which is very easy for anyone to remember. That I put them into the 5 P's, which the first P is planning. You must plan your day with respect to food, what time you're going to eat, what time you're going to have your cereal, and then also, other aspects of your life, whether it's exercise or whether it's your supplements, or all of that needs to be a part of your plan. And there is no shortcut to that. And the second is your hunger time. Everybody has peak hunger times, and eat before a certain time. Say before sunset, eat most of your food, and your digestion weakens after that. So please keep the post-7 eating very light if you must. So very simple rules here, and address your hunger time. Make sure you have planned for that and you have the right things available for you. The 3 other P's that remain are proteins, protective foods, and pairing them with protective foods. Very simple again. Protein-rich foods. We have just spoken about the proteins. So make sure 2 meals are there with protein-rich foods. It could be animal protein, whatever you like, or it could be plant protein or a combination. But too much of animal protein needs to be kept away. But yes, a combination works brilliantly. And pair them with vegetables and fruits. And lastly, dedicate 1 meal of the day to just protective foods. And what are these protective foods? Protective foods include vegetables, fruits, sprouts, probiotics, prebiotics, spices, and of course, not to mention hydration. We can't forget the need to have adequate amounts of water and fluids to keep the system going. So these really are the 5 P's which can help you plan your diet better. And don't focus only on grains. Grains today need to be a part of the plate. They should not be the main component of your food, as it was done traditionally. So make sure that when you put your food down, you put your vegetables and fruits in maybe half to three quarters and divide the rest of it in terms of grains and the proteins. So these are very simple tools for anyone to plan their food better, to address good nutrition and to focus. And let me tell you, there is no easy quick fix. There is no one magic diet or a formula. It's a journey, and each one of us is trying to do better, better and better as I see it in terms of what they're eating. Unlike before, people are not just eating what they're getting, they're focusing on eating the right foods. And there can be many, many ways of doing it. But again, remember, you are unique, and personalized nutrition is the only way that will work for you. So make sure that you know your body, you know what suits you, what works for you, what bothers you. And if you need professional help, do go and seek it.
Well, I believe you just made it easy for our listeners to incorporate good foods into their diet. Dr. Khosla, all the items you listed are indigenous, but when we talk about their accessibility, do you think the rural population is compromised on these food items to build up a resilient body and also achieve the target of overall well-being compared to the urban?
I think this is an absolute contradiction. As a matter of fact, rural populations are at an advantage. Their food is produced in simpler, less toxic environment. Their food is simpler. They are not exposed to the harmful products that we are exposed to in the urban population, particularly things like pesticides and preservatives and trans fats and excessive sugars. So they are eating simpler food. They grow their own food in better ways. And if you look at the traditional Indian diet, it's really about dal chawal and or it's about millets, or it's about simple vegetables and fruits which are locally grown. So it can't get better than that, and that's pretty much all we need to build up a good resilient body. The problem is when we do too much to it in the urban scenarios. So they are certainly in a better position. If you look at their grains, they are eating unprocessed grains. They are not having white sugar. Most of them are having jaggery. They get their proteins from lentils and pulses, from chanas and sattus, totally ingrained in our traditional diets. So they don't have to go and look for expensive alternatives. None of these are expensive. And if you look at even things which are growing wild, things like berries, cranberries, which are karondas, amlas, and aloe vera, falsas, the jamuns, the little local berries, sea buckthorn in different climates and different regions have their own unique berries. And so these are exotic for the urban population, but they are really totally indigenous to the rural population. And it therefore does not mean that they are deprived of any kind of nutrients. And things like the whole thing about good fats and healthy dairy. They are also eating better kind of quality of fats. They use traditional ghees. They use mustard oil, sesame oil, depending on the area and the region of where we're talking about. And also things like milk and dairy products are far purer. They have their own animals. They feed them themselves. Compared to the urban population, we are exposed to all the industrially, commercially produced dairy, which is adulterated, and also it has been treated differently. They have hormones given to the animals. None of all that happens in the rural population. So they actually eat better food and purer food.
You're absolutely correct. We are exposed to commercially produced food items compared to the rural population. Dr. Khosla, thank you for giving us a detailed insight on how we can all achieve our nutritional target and achieve a resilient body without burning a hole in the pocket. It was indeed an insightful session. Thank you once again. Well, that's it on the Banega Swasth India podcast this week. If you have comments, queries, or suggestions on the topic we discussed today, or issues you would like us to cover in future, do write to us on bsipodcast@ndtv.com. Remember, BSI stands for Banega Swasth India. You can also connect with us on Banega Swasth India handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and continue the conversation through the week. Till next week, this is Ambika Singh Kama signing off. Stay healthy and stay safe.